So today we're doing a big deep clean of this apartment, a reorganization, maybe some paint touch-ups, maybe some closet dresser reorganization. My dresser is always a nightmare, but that's neither here nor there. I'm really hoping to get most of it done. I don't know how ambitious I am being, but a big deep clean, maybe some paint touch-ups and some organizing. There's really something about getting the apartment fresh and ready for the change of the seasons, and we are really in fall here in the city now, and so it is time for an apartment reset. So I think Mario's gonna tackle the bathroom, which is a significant help, so I'm not gonna touch the bathroom today, but the rest of the apartment, kitchen, the living room, and the bedroom, and maybe some tidying in the office, but since that's typically Mario's space and I just have like art supplies, I might just need to organize my papers. But let's see how far we can get and get this home feeling fresh and rejuvenated for fall. And fall in the city really is my most favorite, so I'm excited. Let's go. And I realized I forgot to introduce myself. If you're new here, hi, I'm Alexis. I'm a full-time artist here in Brooklyn, New York, and typically on this channel I share art and inspiration and life in the city, and sometimes life in the city is cleaning your apartment. But if any of that sounds like something you're into, I invite you to stick around, and I'm really glad that you're here. Anytime I clean this apartment, I have like a routine, and maybe y'all also have like a routine, but I always start with the dishes. And I think I start with the dishes because by the time it's all said and done, I want to put the dishes away. And so if I start with that and then clean the rest of the apartment, I can come back and they're dry and then everything's put away. So I always start with the dishes and then stovetop, and then I'll clean the bathroom, and then I do the living room and then the bedroom. And then I go back through and I'll dust everything and I'll Windex what needs to be Windexed, and then I will vacuum and then mop. I vacuum versus sweep, just because it's easier. We just have a cordless vacuum and it's really easy. So I'll just use that and I'll go over, all of the floor surfaces in the apartment. And then I go back through on my hands and knees with those Swiffer wet mops. I know that some people have really strong opinions about those, but here's the thing. We don't have storage space here, and a mop, I find them to be really unsanitary and gross. If I had a closet that I could put it in or somewhere that I could like conceal it, I would be super open to it, but we just don't. We don't have the space. It would be like a mop constantly exposed in our kitchen. So I don't mop. I Swiffer, but with my hands so that I can actually scrub the floor, because I've noticed that when you use the pole first, I don't know how people get those Swiffer pads to stay on the pole because they always fall off for me, but I also find you can't really get much leverage with that. So I usually, just spend about 10 minutes on my hands and knees with that little Swiffer wet wipe, and I scrub the floors with those. And I know. I have seen all the TikToks and I've seen all of the other apartment cleaning YouTube videos where people kind of share their very strong opinions about that. That's fine. I think at the end of the day, we all make it work in whichever way makes sense for us. And honestly, this is what makes sense for me. So you do you. If you're not into that, that's cool. I'll do me, and we'll just, keep moving along, because there are so many other things in the world that are worth our attention and our energy, and I don't know. Also, maybe y'all won't care, but I have surely seen lots of people with very strong opinions, so I thought I would just go ahead and throw it out there right now. Are y'all down if we just spend a little bit of, quiet time together while I get this done? Because I don't always have a story or a thing to share, but I love spending time with you, and I am so glad that you're here. And I just got a lot to do. So let's get this moving and let's get it done. And I'm just going to play some music and see how far we can get. So I was hoping to get to the paint today. And then as I was moving these frames from the mantle in the bedroom to do some dusting, this picture that we have actually ended up sticking to the paint and peeling a bit of it off. And so, you know, I think I might have a little ADHD and I couldn't move beyond that. And so I just pulled out the paint and I was like, you know what? Here we go. So all of the other plans kind of went out the window at this point, and I was like, that mental load of needing to do all of these paint touch-ups is now at the forefront. So I'm just gonna pull out that paint and we're gonna get started and we're gonna clean this up, and it's gonna just be part of this process today. So I've had some paint touch-ups that I've needed to do since I did that huge apartment remake. When was that? In June, July? I really do believe that like when you're doing something like a complete apartment makeover, that video is available if you're into it. You gotta live in the space for a little bit of time to really kind of see what you missed in that process. Because in that time, it was like just nonstop work. So, you know, it's been a few months and we've lived in the space, and I could see just some edges and just some areas that I've really wanted to kind of get back in with some paint to just kind of clean up. You know, I've never painted trim before, and I was able to cut in on the wood, but I realized today that if you cut in from the wall into the frame, I was able to get a much cleaner line. I mentioned in that remake video that nothing in this apartment really has a straight edge. I mean, it's like over almost 100 years old, like 90 something years old. So it's all this old paint that's just kind of bubbled and accumulated. And so it's got a lot of wibble wobbles. And if you go at the wibble wobbles from the wall side versus the trim side, it looks a lot cleaner. So that's what I ended up doing. I went throughout just, you know, the main spaces in this apartment, and I touched up all of that paint. I did do the kitchen, and I thought I got more of the kitchen, but for some reason, y'all, I think that when I am painting the kitchen, because it's such a tight squeeze, I don't actually film a lot in there. And I did the same damn thing when I videoed the apartment makeover. I didn't film any of the kitchen. But I think that's okay. You guys could see really what I was doing with this footage.
Hold on, let me take my time.
In all fairness, when I did that huge apartment overhaul, painting the walls white was not part of it. Most of them were already white. I did do those like 2 walls in the office, but I did not do any touch-ups with this white paint during that time. So this felt like it was perhaps a little overdue, but it felt really good. There was just like, you know, wear and tear from handful of years with the walls white, and that's why I think it's really helpful to use the same like paint, whether it's colored or not, in multiple rooms. So I use this white paint in all of the rooms in some combination, so I can just keep a gallon on hand. So if a wall gets scuffed or if there's some repairs, that happened with our landlord, I can easily go in and make it look nice again. When I left teaching, I donated so many of my, I guess, professional clothes. And I don't know if anyone else feels like this, but when I was in that setting, I very much felt like I wore a costume. I played into the role of the teacher. I had my quote unquote teacher clothes, and then I had my bushwick clothes. So we'd have our professional development days and everybody would comment on what I was wearing, and I'm like, this is who I really am. So when I left that career, I took all of those skirts and many of the dresses and all of those things to the mutual aid, and it was just really good to be able to give that and kind of pass it along to people that perhaps could find a greater use for it. But this dresser is part of like a series or a collection, I guess, from IKEA that we bought, maybe 2014. We had moved into the apartment in 2013, and we just had like a modge podge of things that were left in old apartments, things we had found on the street, plastic. Because I think when you're 27, 28, moving into your first home and money is tight, you really make it work. And we made it work, and it was wonderful. And, now we're making it work with some IKEA. And I've noticed that the drawers will often cave in the bottom. I don't know if I have them just too packed. I kind of hold on to some items that have sentimental value, and I'm sure I could get rid of so much more. But there's just like shirts and things from Mario's bands in St. Louis that I don't want to get rid of because they hold that sentimental value. So, we live in a small space, no storage. Everything has to kind of exist here. And so today I really just wanted to go through and rebuild my drawers, refold everything, and honestly switch a couple things around because I could better organize it based on what I use most regularly versus what I don't. Yeah, I donated most of my teaching clothes, but did hold on to some of these like professional-ish items just because you never know when you might need to look nicer than what I do on the day-to-day and dress up just a smidge. So I have a drawer of like slacks. It's funny, I almost said slacks, and then I was like, does that date me? But I was kind of raised by a grandmother, and she always talked about her slacks. So I got a drawer of slacks and some skirts and some, teacher sweaters. And then I have jeans and shirts and workout clothes and whatever. But it just feels really, really good to get into this space and to organize these drawers and to take stock of what I have and yet again get rid of and donate what no longer serves me, because as time goes on and as I am further and further removed from that time of my life, I have a greater understanding of who I am and my style and the life that I want to live. And I think that releasing these old items creates space for newness. And I mentioned this in that apartment remake, but I really do think that anytime you go through your space and you take stock of what you have and you can pass on what no longer is of use for you, you allow a new energy to enter your space. And I've said it before, and I will say it again. I am ready for this new energy, and I am really excited. This next part of the year is really going to be like, a lot of holiday prep. As a small business, it's just a lot of work. So ornaments, which I really, really love, and commissions, and it's a bit of a push from the beginning of November, end of October-ish to like January. And then come 2025, I have big, big dreams for paper, and I cannot wait to get going on it. And I think that in order to allow for that new phase, that newness to really enter in and to take root, this is part of that process. And so, I don't know, I'm still saying goodbye to little pieces of the old version of me, and I'm still welcoming in so much of the new. And I want to encourage you that if it has been a moment since you've organized your things and really taken stock of what you have and what you can release and pass on versus what you really want to hold on to, I want to encourage you to do that and to just see how different your space feels. And if this is something that you do quite regularly, I would really like to know if you also find that there's an energetic shift in your space when you pour a little bit of energy into it and declutter and reorganize. For me, it always just feels really, really good. Alright, so we got a lot done. I ended up doing a lot more touch-ups than I anticipated, and honestly that had kind of been in the back of my mind since I did the whole apartment refresh. It was just like cutting in some of where the door frame met the wall a little bit and cleaning up some of the edges, and I got all of that done, and I got my dresser organized, which was a huge thing. I've got a bag to take to mutual aid, and now I think I'm just gonna get the rest of this put together, mop and vacuum, and then I'm gonna call it a night, and we're gonna eat some dinner and we're gonna watch a scary movie. But yeah, the rest of it, the closet, and what else needs to get done? The closet, and I gotta figure out something with some of my plants. That's for another day. But I'm really thrilled that we got as much done as we did, and it's feeling really good in here. But I want to wrap up the vlog here, and if you enjoyed spending time with me, I'd really appreciate a thumbs up. That helps YouTube know that there's something happening over here, and they're more likely to share me with other people like you. And if you would like to... My windows are open. If you would like to follow along as I create art and live life here in New York City, of course it's really loud here as we're wrapping it up, but subscribe. I am so grateful for our small and growing community. Thank you for being here and for spending your time with me. And lastly, whatever time of day you watch this, I hope it's been a kind one. Until next time.